be there. You all right on a motorbike, Rio? Are you okay with that?
Nervous.
Right, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. If you see a couple of motorbikes shooting through from east to west London, you know that it's us making our way to Chelsea for the 5:30 kickoff. Look, this feels, I don't know whether you agree, like a kind of watershed moment for United this season against this backdrop of unrest, all the questions about this week, and then a performance like that. Surely the two are linked in some way, are they not?
Yeah, you'd have to agree with that, but I think there's some big decisions to be made at Manchester United now. I think that from the higher they go from here at the moment, because at the moment there doesn't seem to be that togetherness within that changing room.
About what, the future of the manager?
The manager, the squad, how they're going to take this club forward. There has to be improvements. You can't have a team. The basics are not being done. Like Scholesy said before, the effort, the desire. You expect that standard, but it's not happening. So there has to be something said.
We talk about the effort, don't we? As you rightly said, that is the first thing you expect from a Man United or any footballer. I just wonder if the quality's there as well. You know, the amount of time now we've been saying, are these players really good enough? They're not really showing at the minute they are, I don't think. And I think if United possibly had West Ham's front three today, it could have been a different story. The lack of movement from Lukaku, Martial, we know he's got ability, we know Rashford's got ability, but they're not showing it anywhere near enough.
So much to talk about, right from Jose's team selection today all the way down to the players who didn't even make the matchday squad. Lots to discuss, and hopefully we'll hear from Jose Mourinho before too long, along of course with Manuel Pellegrini. He will be delighted with West Ham today. The headlines of course will be about Manchester United and that man, but the story today is that West Ham suddenly are flying. They've beaten United. See you shortly for all the reaction. He'll be pleased with that one. Look, they were confident today, they were organised, they were expressive. This is a team that lost their first 4 league games on the bounce. They look like a different side. Something's clicked here.
Yeah, but I think that was inevitable because the amount of changes they had in the summer. They were about 11, 12 players. So there's got to be a little bedding in period, and they've had that, and it seems to have worked. They've been working obviously hard in the training ground, and they're getting their just rewards. Their last 3 results have been fantastic. Everton away to go and win their 3-1, then come back here, get a great result against Chelsea, who were flying, and then today swept aside this Manchester United team the way they did with the conviction which they done it, the way that the personality. In the end, they were half showboating. The fans were doing olays and olays. For Man United fans, it's embarrassing. For Man United players, embarrassing. But for West Ham, this is a great statement and intent for the rest of the season going forward.
And in some ways, that cheeky finish for 1-0 kind of summed up the confidence of West Ham today. But, you know, when we look at the goals, Manchester United still made it too easy for them, still stood off, still a lack of intent from the visitors.
They did. I actually like what Mark said about they were just thinking about West Ham. They weren't bothered which way United played. And formations, tactics, it didn't really matter today. United's attitude was never right, and it hasn't been for a few weeks. But great, but I thought Noble was excellent today, and Zabaleta as well. Was he 33? You're thinking Luke Shaw should be the one forcing him that way, and all day long Zabaleta was up and down that line. He made some great runs.
Question marks over offside, no question mark over the finish.
Sublime, beautiful finish. I thought today Anderson he justified. That's why they spent the money on him, which they did. His movement, his ball retention was fantastic, creating chances for others. He was a real thorn in this Manchester United side, and here today, the only thing I'd say there, Matic has got to show him that Yarmolenko's all left foot. Show him down the line, get him away from goal. He's showing him into the danger area, and this is what happens when you allow players that. It's a bit of luck.
Where's the people? Where's the fight there of 3 or 4 people trying to get out, trying to throw your body on your line to stop the shot? It's just not there, and it was just typical of United's attitude to the game all day long.
So United with a poor approach, West Ham absolutely taking advantage of that. We'll have a look at the 2-1 and the 3-1 goals in a moment. You can see how delighted Manuel Pellegrini was with that. But, you know, sometimes in this situation, a manager likes to stay in the dressing room and tear a strip or 2 off their players, as I'm sure you both know. However, Jose has very quickly come out of the dressing room. He's actually downstairs with Matt. So let's go straight to it. Jose Mourinho's post-match thoughts. So Jose Mourinho there, questioning the quality of his players. You've already done the same thing. He has a net spend of £1/3 billion since he arrived at Manchester United. So what's going on here? Is this that these players are simply not good enough, or he's not getting the best out of the players he's got?
At this minute, I think this club seems to be in a bit of a mess. Whether it's from above Mourinho, we know he didn't get the players he wanted in the summer. He didn't to be good enough. It's early days for people like Fred. You do have to give him time, and it just seems a war right throughout the club. If it's from Ed Woodward to Mourinho and then Mourinho to his players, the place just looks unstable.
No, I have to agree. I mean, the stability of the club is key. For any football club, you need stability from top to bottom. Here, there seems to be mini wars going in the changing room. Probably above that as well. I mean, even talking about the scouting networks there, who found a young centre half for West Ham, Diop. Is that a slight dig?
You almost feel that's a dig at his own.
Yeah, that's a dig at his own
scouts.
scouts.
Yeah.
That's what I read into that. He probably denied that, but that's what I see why he mentions that. So there's mini wars within the camp. That has to be ironed out. There has to be someone within that club who comes in and says, listen, right, get yourselves together and let's sort this out. And I hate keep going backwards, but you have to, because there's comparisons always been made. But back in the day, Sir Alex Ferguson would have just ironed it out. You saw players stepped out of line in his eyes, they're gone. Whether it's they're in their prime, they were gone. David Beckham, Jaap Stam, Roy Keane, Ruud van Nistelrooy. You step out of line in a manager's eyes who's running the place and says, this is my house and it rocks my way and no other, they get rid and they're gone. Otherwise, it will be you who goes. So something's got to give here.
I think the trouble is he hasn't got them luxuries, because you know, when the manager did get rid of players, there was always quality in around it.
He got rid of Roy and Michael Carrick came in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he always tried to replace players, but I think, you know, what else does he do? Can he let Pogba go? I don't know if you can. Well,
let's just have a look at, you know, you've spoken about a lack of intent or perhaps a lack of quality. This is Manchester United today, in possession, with very few options ahead for those players.
We saw this right from the start, Jake. It was slow play, but you see West Ham had a real intent when they lost the ball to win the ball back. You see him getting up to the ball. OK, this is still jogging a little bit, but United players, especially midfield players, were sat 5-10 yards off the ball without the intent of...
so that's approach then, isn't it? That's not quality.
It's attitude.
And does that not come from the manager?
And to be fair, in his interview, he said he had no problem with his attitude. Well, to me, that would be the first thing I'd have a problem with today. The first 10 minutes, nobody wanted to get to the ball. They was passive. They almost played with 8 centre halves. You know, they had the 5 in there, and they had the 3 midfield players stood right on the toes. Not one. And you're playing against a West Ham team who controlled the game. Declan Rice, I thought it was excellent. He's probably a centre half, but he totally controlled the game.
But this is happy you go and kick someone and get rally the troops. Come on, get amongst people, get around people. You need people sometimes to set the tone. I don't see anyone here doing that. You see the difference there when West Ham lost the ball? They get up there. That's Zabaleta, a 33-year-old right back up there causing havoc because they get this ball back. And like you said, Snodgrass come on him. He smashed someone straight away when he came on.
But Marcus Rashford came on and made a difference. Yet this is exactly the game where Lingard or Sanchez on the bench would have helped make a difference, but they weren't there. The options weren't there because.
No, he had options. Rashford was an option who came on. He changed the game. He did.
Lingard and Sanchez haven't been good enough though. Yeah, you keep saying they might come good, you can keep going with them, but when they've played, they've not scored goals. They just haven't been good enough. This goal is just, it sums up the player really. Just defensive, the 2 centre halves. Noble was excellent, great pass, but look at them. They have to see the dangers through the middle. They have to come together. Stop on Arnautovic, and great pass from Noble, you have to say, but the 2 centre halves make the job so easy.
There's only one ball here that can hurt you, and it's through the middle there. Look, you allow him. The centre half should be allowing him to go wide. Don't let him go through the middle. But that's what you get sometimes as well. You play a young lad who's playing centre half, but this is a great finish. I think he was fantastic today. Like I said earlier, he's like the Di Canio of this era for them, the talisman. But I think special shout outs to go to someone like Mark Noble. Their results have changed over the last 3 or 4 days, or 3 or 4 games, and people were probably saying, listen, he might be too old, legs maybe not strong enough, quick enough for this era of West Ham. He showed today he knows his way around the football pitch, and the other players feed off that.
I'm really interested, just to get to the nub of this with the two of you. You've been in Manchester United dressing rooms that have won the Premier League. Do they not have the quality to compete at the top of this league now? Or is it a lack of quality and the manager not getting the best out of the players that he's got? What is the issue?
I think it's both. I think that there is definitely a lack of quality. The players that have been brought in, I would question whether they're all good enough. But on top of that, you have to get the players playing. You have to get, like we say, the bare minimum is hard work. Yeah. The bare minimum is graft. If you're out there and you're seeing players not working, I don't see the person out there going, shouting down people's throats, saying to them, what are you doing? And on a Monday morning when you come in, the video's going on, what are you doing? You're not even running. There's no intent for you to even hurt people, to get back and track and to make your life difficult for other players. You can't have that.
I think there are in the squad a lot of very good, talented players, and then you look at that back four that finished the game today. You're thinking Ashley Young, left winger, right winger. He's playing right back. Scott McTominay, a young player. Chris Smalling, Luke Shaw. That is not a back four that's going to get you anywhere near the league. And we say, are they good enough to challenge at the top of the league? No, they're not, because there's so many teams who are better than them.
And the final question, probably the most important one. There are echoes here of what we saw at Chelsea towards the end. Are we reaching an end game here with Jose and Manchester United?
It's difficult to say that, but I believe that the powers that be at this football club have a decision to make, because I think you can't let a situation like this just continue through the season. Things leaking out in the press, little wars going on within the change rooms that's creeping out and everyone's finding out about it. Players maybe on one side of the dressing room, Mourinho and his staff on the other. It can't be like that. If that continues, it'll be one of the worst seasons in history at the club. So someone's got to make a decision right now, bang, this is what happens. Either someone goes...
You're saying something has to change?
Something's got to give.
Yeah, well, when you watch...
Mourinho and his staff on the other. It can't be like that. If that continues, it'll be one of the worst seasons in history at the club. So someone's got to make a decision right now, bang, this is what happens. Either someone goes...
You're saying something has to change?
Something's got to give.
Yeah, well, when you watch, it feels like there's something massively wrong. Is it the end? I don't know. Is it the end for some players? Is it the end for the manager? I don't know. But is there something there available? If it is the manager that goes, is something out there available? Who's going to get more out of this team? That's the question. If they have somebody say like a Pochettino, or there's been talk about Zidane, but will the players liven up to that? We just don't know. We just know at this moment in time, it just feels wrong.
All right. Well, but that's now the worst league start in 29 years for Manchester United. And you've heard what the guys have had to say. Let me hand the baton now over to Mark Pougatch and the team at Score. That's quite a headline to start your day with, Mark.
It certainly is, Jake. We're going to talk a lot about that as well. Thank you. Huge issues then for Manchester United. Of course, we've still got Chelsea against Liverpool to come. Before that, games in the Premier League watched by our guests. All the goals, all the talking points as they happen up and down the leagues, north and south of the border. BT Sports Score. And Owen Hargreaves, who's fighting his way through the fans outside London Stadium, coming up after the break.